2015. And if you'd all rise, those that are able to do so, and Mayor Jeffrey will recite the prayer.
Grant us, O God, perception and patience, that justice, truth, and honesty may be evident on our planning and governing. Make us aware of the needs of each part of this regional municipality. Save us from a parochialism that divides, and so create in us a desire for progress and responsible action. We pray that all of our words and deeds may be in accord with thy will, to the glory of thy holy name. Amen.
Okay. All members are present except Councillor Fonseca, who's ill, Councillor McFadden, who's still recovering, Councillor Miles, ill, Councillor Parrish is absent, and Councillor Spo. Oh, and John just walked in. Okay. Thank you. Are there any declarations of conflict of interest? Councillor Paleshi?
Yes, thank you. I declare a conflict of interest on the in-camera matter pertaining to the Peel Living, as I have a family member that's nominated.
Okay, thank you. Mayor Jeffrey?
I wish to, I apologize, this is a late declaration of conflict. On February 12th, when we had the declarations of conflict of interest on, I think it was item 14.5, I also sit on the Police Services Board, and I only realized that as I was reading through the minutes when you declared it, Chair Dale, that on that particular item I should have done that before the budget, so I wish to declare it at this point.
Okay,
thanks.
Thank you. So if someone would like to move approval of the minutes for the February 12th, 2015 Regional Council meeting. Moved by Councillor Paleshi, seconded by Councillor Tovey. Any amendments to that? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed, if any? Carried. Next would be approval for the minutes of the February 19th, 2015 Regional Council budget meeting. Moved by Councillor Groves, seconded by Councillor Shaughnessy. Any changes or amendments? All in favor then? Oops. Councillor Sato.
Sorry. I'm not sure. Maybe the clerk can just confirm. Do we need to declare a conflict on the minutes?
No, I carried it forward.
You carried it forward. Thank you. Just wanted to double check.
All in favor then of the minutes? Opposed, if any? Carried. Thank you. Now, approval of the agenda, that the agenda for February 26, 2015 Regional Councilman be approved. Moved by Councillor Parrish, seconded by Councillor Medeiros. All in favor? Opposed, if any? Carried. Delegations, we do have a delegation this morning, but just before I call them forward, I just want to mention that the calendars have been updated and they're in your folders. We've made some changes to the meetings, so they're there. Angela Jones, Campaign Coordinator, and Megan Whitfield, Toronto Local President, and Kristen McEachran, I believe, are here. Ladies, if you'd like to come forward. And we do have a 5-minute time limit on delegations, so if you could be brief, would be greatly appreciated.
So my name's Angela Jones, and I'm the campaign coordinator for CUPW, the Toronto Local. And sitting to my right is Kristen McEachran, which is the national coordinator for the Ontario region. Unfortunately, Megan is running behind, so we will start without her. Canada Post announced in 2011 cuts to their services, some of them which included post office closures, large rate hikes, and the elimination of 6,000 to 8,000 good-paying local spending jobs from workers that contribute to the city they live and they work in. They also brought forth the elimination of door-to-door delivery to community mailboxes. These cuts will have impacts on our city, especially the seniors and persons with disabilities. They also pose health and safety issues, especially in the winter weather with the lack of snow and ice removal. They are also prone to theft litter, and they change the face of the communities and the residents' properties. They also decrease the property values that people live in. Canada Post held consultations, invite only, in 46 communities, and there were no equity-seeking groups invited. This included the seniors and the disabled. And Canada Post belongs to the public, and we all deserve input. Canada Post relies on misinformation to justify their cuts. 2/3 of homes do not receive home delivery, when in fact they do. 33% to the door, 25% to apartment mailrooms, and 5% to rural mailboxes. 25% to community mailboxes, and 12% to postal boxes, general delivery, and retail outlets. The report made by the Conference Board of Canada in 2011 is a good example of predicting losses over $100 million, when in the first 3 quarters there were profits of over $60 million. And this past Christmas, we don't have the reports yet, but they had record profits from parcel revenue alone. We have provided alternatives to the corporation, significant profits from financial and banking services, as well as pilot projects, including new delivery methods, etc. CUPW is working with the public and the municipalities, community organizations, the labor movement, seniors, and people with disabilities. And we are asking the region of Peel to follow other municipalities and pass a resolution to support the door-to-door service. There are over 500 resolutions right now across the country that have passed resolutions. And we want to ask, too, that the municipalities amend the bylaws and do the math on the cost of having the CMBs and the liabilities. A CMB site alone costs $522 to implement. I have enclosed inside the package that you all have the submission to the Commission in Montreal and the report from Hamilton, as well as 3 samples of resolutions that have been passed. I thank you for listening. I look forward to working with you in the future and upholding this very important public service. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And if you just stay in place, I have a list here. Councillor Sato.
Thank you. Good to see you here. Thank you for coming. We passed a resolution in Mississauga last month, and I advised you of, I think we sent you a copy of the resolution. And it's on today's agenda. I would ask, Mr. Chairman, perhaps if we could move item 942 forward and deal with it while the deputants are here. But we have not yet done in Mississauga, Mr. Chairman, a cost analysis as Hamilton has done, because we have not been approached by Canada Post yet with numbers, locations, etc. So our staff have not been able to actually work out what the cost is. But based on the Hamilton report, it's actually quite frightening, where I think Canada Post will provide $50 for each location, and Hamilton has estimated that the cost of maintenance and everything else is about $500 per location. So the impact on the municipalities is we know is going to be huge. The impact on the employees who are going to be displaced from their jobs is great as well. The region of Peel, I think, is going to have an impact, even though most of these are going to be on residential streets, because we will be collecting the garbage from these locations, and that will put a further strain on our collection services. And there is a real possibility that we will have some on regional roads and regional right-of-ways as well. So while this is primarily a local municipal issue, when it comes to the new community mailboxes, I think there is a regional impact. So I would, and it's a very serious concern. There basically was no consultation. I had the advantage of going to a focus group with Canada Post about 3 years ago. They invited me to come and sit in on a focus group, and I raised all the issues that we have here today. I raised in that focus group, and of course, that was nice. You've raised them, we listened to you. I don't consider that to be consultation, and that is the only consultation that they did in the city of Mississauga, was one small focus group, and I think there was myself and one other person in that group was from Mississauga. The others were from outside the city that had been brought in. So just no meaningful consultation, and our recommendation, our resolution is asking for that. and asking, as other municipalities are, that this not proceed. And I would ask that council endorse this today.
Thank you very much. Councillor Gibson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I apologize that my computer has crashed on me, so I haven't got it in front of me, so I'm going to try to wing it a bit here. But yesterday at City of Brampton Council, we also passed a resolution that I've given to the clerk to hope they can put it on the screen. Similar to Mississauga's resolution, I don't think it matters which one we endorse. I think they're both basically saying the same thing. And to Councillor Sato's, I think, comments, I think Mississauga probably sounds like they had more consultation than we did, which wasn't much. So I can't recall any consultation in Brampton. Maybe other council members might add some there is, but I don't recall any. So we've got a motion that we passed yesterday at the City of Brampton that, from what I can see, is pretty similar to this one too. And maybe if we can get past the whereases into the crunch of it, it also calls for the public consultation and that too. So I think it's pretty set that Brampton and Mississauga, and I'm sure Caledon probably are on the same page on this. So we just wanted you to know that that's what Brampton did yesterday, and we apologize for not getting it here quick enough, but it is here in hard copy now. So thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Gibson. I think what I would suggest, because they're both good resolutions, is that we could put them forward and council could endorse both.
Sure.
For the record, yeah, if that's agreeable. But I still have a list. Mayor Thompson.
Yeah, no, thank you, Mr. Chairman. And where I'm coming from is I think it doesn't matter what municipality, we're all in this together. We've had to develop a bylaw a few years back because they pulled away. They got driving up and down the road and saying, cars are driving too fast, it's not safe for our mail guys to drop the mail off. And yet the roads with the biggest shoulders are the ones that had the mail services taken away. And then they start putting the mailboxes right on roadsides. And what do? The bottom boxes, they give it to seniors, so they have to bend over. And there's no safe passage. So what we've established, and we're working through a bylaw, and it's to come back to council shortly, is that we're asking any community mailbox, especially in the rural area, the Canada Post has got to work with the municipality and have an easement, because we got to get there's no safety factors that are being put in where these boxes are being established, and especially for seniors and accessibility. We're pushed hard on that at all our municipalities, and yet Canada Post isn't adhering to anything. They're trying to download it to us. So I think we have to push back. So where I'm glad to see the Brampton's resolution here, but I am almost saying that we could almost send one resolution representing all three municipalities. We're all in this together. We're not alone. It isn't just Mississauga, it's not just Brampton, it's Caledon as well. But I think what we have to do is, I think we have to develop a bylaw to protect ourselves, to hold Canada Post responsible on this. It's a huge issue for all of us.
Thank you. Councillor Carlson.
Thanks very much, Mr. Chair. I apologize for my voice. I just wanted to add my support to the cause. Not very often in our business do we have something come forward to us that is basically 99-1 in favor of one position or the other. And this is one of those rare cases where the utter stupidity of the decision-making process, if you can call it a process, is so evident. I can't imagine any Canadian ask for this destruction of their service. And who would want this third-rate junky mailbox thing on their street? I don't blame people. For all the reasons mentioned, our letter carriers, are part of the community, and they represent us, an eye and ear in the community to keep an eye on some of the people in the houses in the district. And we have, I represent an area with a lot of seniors. They just don't want to climb over snowbanks. It's just a nightmare. And I can't imagine that a penny more for a stamp would probably save us all from this disgraceful level of service. So I'm with you 100%. I wish we probably have to take political action in the next election, even make it an issue. Because,
we're asking them to make it a federal election because it's the
send them a letter.
Well,
Maybe
we've sent thousands.
Oh, I know. I won't even.
And petitions.
You're not alone. For a million reasons we all know. I really just want to let you know that we're. I've yet to run into the person who thought the super mailbox was super.
Can I also point something else? We've received a letter from the city of Winnipeg that sent a bill to Canada Post for the garbage, which was about $20,000, and Canada Post will not pay it. So this is something that you have to think about as well. And there's seniors that have been hurt recently. One of them was an 81, I believe he was 81 years old, and he fell and he damaged himself. He hurt himself pretty bad, and he's opening up a lawsuit now in the corporation.
Well, good luck. I hope that we can change. There are other alternatives. We talked about it at
That's
Mississauga
right.
as well, that, you know, if we.
They're not listening to
They're not
us.
listening to a darn
No.
thing, so good luck. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Crombie.
Thank you. I just want to echo my support as well. I dealt with this issue when I was in Ottawa, in fact, and I was member of Parliament and critic on Canada Post, but not a critic, very supportive. I'm worried about the job loss, for starters. I'm worried about the equity. Some people have delivery, home delivery, and others have super mailboxes. And for me, that's an inequity that has to be righted or made fair. I'm worried about the seniors as well and those less vulnerable. If they do make this move, accommodations has to be made for seniors and for those who are handicapped and will, like as Councillor Carlson has said, unable to go to the super mailboxes. Frankly, I would support less frequent delivery, but delivery rather than the super mailboxes. How do you feel about that?
Well, with the financial gains that they've had, it doesn't make any sense that we give people some
Less
delivery
service, right.
and
So-
you know, as opposed to everyday
Have everyone.
service. Why should one person get their mail once a week?
Well, I thought
and then the rest of everyone
it was
else
a
gets it on
financial
a daily?
issue,
It's
it
not a
was-
financial issue.
Then we support you. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Parrish.
Yes, well, I'm about to confess to a criminal act. When the super mailboxes first
Again?
came out, and you know how long ago that was, I had a friend call me, and he said, I want you to talk me out of something. I said, what would that be? He said, I just came back from a public meeting where they showed us how they were going to extend super mailboxes further than they already were, and what a great idea it was. So he said, my buddy and I want to go out and steal one and put it on the Member of Parliament's driveway. So I said, and he goes, talk me out of it. I went, no, just let me know when you do it. I want to drive around and see it. So they did. Dr. Bob Horner ended up at 7 a.m. with a super mailbox on his driveway, and about 7:03, it was gone. So Canada Post got the right people out to get it off his driveway very quickly. But I didn't like them then. I don't like them now. There's a little cul-de-sac at the end of our street where they put in a couple of new houses and they have to use that super mailbox. It's dirty there. The snow piles up, but they can't get at their mail. And I know for a fact that the Tory caucus actually asked to have it every second day delivery or twice a week delivery. And it was overruled. So this is an election year, and I think it's time everybody pounded the heck out of them.
Absolutely.
And go to less frequent delivery if you have to, but door-to-door delivery. We have countries like Mexico, where I was sent when I was parliamentary secretary to the Canada Post to teach them how to use our system. And we have countries all over the world that get door-to-door delivery that are way less sophisticated than Canada. So keep up the good work. We'll all help you. And but I won't advocate stealing any more of the super mailboxes because this time I might get into trouble.
No, and that's part of the problem now is with these new mailboxes. It's not just taking one compartment and busting it open and taking the mail out of it. They're actually taking the whole C&B.
What's that?
They're-
That's what my
yeah,
friend
they're
did.
taking
They took the
yeah.
whole unit and put
Yeah.
it on Dr. Horner's driveway.
Yeah, it's and it's also, you know, putting it on someone's property. And I live in Port Credit. I'm also a letter carrier in Port Credit. And we've gone out in canvassing events. We actually have a canvassing event set up for this Saturday. And the 1 out of 100 people wouldn't sign, and not because they didn't agree with it, was because they wanted more information on it. And they're upset because this is going to be a decrease in their property values, you know, and selling it, and I believe it's going to, you know, come back to their property taxes.
And by the way, I think the letter carriers that I've had in the 40 years I've lived in my house have all been first rate. I even
you.
had one figure out how to open the hood on my car because I didn't know how to do it. So they're wonderful people, and they're out in this really cold weather, and they do a terrific job.
We love our job. I love my job.
We all do.
Yeah.
Thank you. Councillor Sato.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to follow up on a comment Councillor Crombie and and Councillor Parrish made, and that was about the alternate delivery. That was one of the options that Canada Post gave at the focus group that I attended. And there was a financial impact of both the service we're getting today, removing the service, going to community mailboxes, and the alternate service. And they gave us the numbers, and I have them somewhere in my office on little scribble notes, but they gave the numbers of what the cost saving would be to go to alternate day delivery and also to go to no door-to-door delivery. They also pointed out that only 40% of the country actually is getting door-to-door delivery service, which was quite a shock to me because, you know, a lot of my ward does not get it. The older part of the ward does, but I have half of my ward does not get it, and it's a real pain trying to get information out to those residents that don't have the door-to-door delivery. I can tell you that. But one of the things that that we also did, and the issue I mentioned of garbage, we installed in some of the areas in my ward, we had a project quite a few years ago where we did a pilot. We made signs up that said, did you receive junk mail? And they were placed on the city property right beside the super mailboxes where people were sticking their junk mail in between the box, and we were getting a lot of garbage. So our recommendation on the sign was either take it home and recycle or mail it back. Well, everyone started mailing it back, which is legal. We checked this because if you don't want mail, you can put it back in the mail. Yep. And the super mailboxes were getting absolutely flooded with junk mail. And we had, Mando, you'll remember, a very strongly worded letter from Canada Post ordering us to remove those signs, which we did not do. We had a legal opinion. We were within our rights. We actually put those at a few other locations. And, you know, we basically said to Canada Post, either you come out, clean these up, and take care of maintenance, or we will post these all over the city and you'll be getting flooded with this mail. Well, they didn't do it, and we have put them in other locations. We didn't expand as much as possible. But those are the very real issues that we are facing. The other issue that George mentioned about the seniors trying to get to it, Canada Post is responsible for clearing the area around the super mailbox. Yep. And that's great if it's on a sidewalk where it's one of the streets that we plow. I don't know what Brampton, if you plow all your streets. We don't. We just do priority routes. So if the mailbox is on a secondary route that we don't plow, there's this open area at the mailbox. But if the resident who happens to side on that property doesn't clear their sidewalk, the residents can't get to the mailbox. Well, guess who the complaints come to?
City.
They don't come to Canada Post, although we're giving them now a number and an email of someone at Canada Post to complain about that they need to clear further, and they're not going to do it, but we figure we'll just let them get hounded. But, you know, those are the very real issues that we are facing. One of the things that I noticed that, and when I was drafting the city resolution, I didn't put it in, and maybe we should consider this, is perhaps on in Brampton it's number 5, that we want to retain the valuable service for the communities. I'm wondering if we should put in an option that Canada Post, if this is a cost-cutting measure, that Canada Post look at alternative solutions. And, you know, I'm not sure we should mention the, you know, alternate day delivery or something like that, so that we're at least asking them to open up that dialogue again.
So going back to alternate day delivery, it's small businesses and corporations, they depend on getting their mail on a daily basis.
Yeah.
And it's not fair to say to the residents, okay, so, you know, some will get their mail on this day and that. And again, because it's not a financial issue, and we know that they've had excess revenue in the last couple of years, every year in the last 18 years except 2011 when they locked us out, they've had financial gain. And going back to the boxes, another thing that I wanted to mention is that the liability issue, if it's put on someone's property, municipalities are saying they're not responsible, and the corporation saying isn't they're responsible. So guess who's responsible? It's the person that has that box put on their property.
Yeah.
And that's something that's, you know, is not fair. The other thing is I don't know the consultation that you were at, but that 40% that I'm sure that included apartments which shouldn't be included.
Probably did.
Yes,
Yeah, probably
and
did.
we've done this, we've seen this, some of the studies, and they've included in all of them. They include the apartments, and they shouldn't. It should just be the residents that should be included in that.
Thank you.
Thank you. I do have the resolution moved by Councillor Sato, second by Councillor Gibson, would be the position of all three municipalities regarding Canada Post door-to-door service be endorsed, and further that a copy of this resolution be forwarded to the Honourable Lisa Raitt, Minister of Transport, the Association of Municipalities of Ontario, the Federation of Ontario Municipalities, all region MPs and MPPs, the City of Mississauga, the City of Brampton, and the Town of Caledon. Any further discussion? All in favor then? Opposed, if any? Thank you, ladies, for coming forward, and keep up the good work delivering your message.
Thank you.
To all members of
From a
council
resident,
across this
I
province.
really appreciate all your support, and as a worker for Canada Post. Thank you.
Yeah. Councillor Sato, I'll bring forward 9.1 and 9.2 and 9.4 if you'll move. On 9.4, we need direction. What's that?
No, we just did it.
Oh, yeah, we did it with that. Okay. All in favor then? Carried. All right, that moves us to health. Councillor Moore, if you'd be so kind to take over.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members of Council, the first item on the agenda is the temporary appointment of a part-time associate medical officer of health. It is here for approval. Moved by Councillor Gibson, seconded by Councillor Starr. No questions, all those in favor? That's carried. And the second is the report of the Water Fluoridation Committee held on February the 5th, here for receipt. Someone like to move? Councillor Palashi, seconded by Councillor Parrish?
Yes.
All those in favor? That's carried. That was easy, Mr. Chairman. I'll turn it back to you.
Thank you. Items related to, oh, there are none. Items related to enterprise programs and services. Councillor Fonseca? She's not here. So it'd be Councillor Medeiros.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members, you have in front of you items related to enterprise programs and services. Item first, 8.1, Peel Agricultural Advisory Working Group 2014-2018. Can I get a mover? Councillor Palashi, and a seconder, Councillor Downey. All in favor? Pass. Thank you. Item 8.2, 2014 Ontario Energy Manager Excellence Awards. Since 2012, the region of Peel has participated in the Ontario Power Authority's Embedded Energy Manager Program, which provides funding for staff responsible for the implementation of energy efficiency measures. This past year, the region of Peel achieved the greatest reduction in energy use among all embedded energy managers in Ontario. In recognition of this achievement, the region received the inaugural Ontario Power Authority Energy Manager Excellence Award. This award symbolizes the region of Peel's commitment to effective energy management, which in turn supports our goal of being a financially and environmentally sustainable municipality. Please join me in congratulating council and staff on this significant achievement. Can I get a mover for receipt? Councillor Moore, seconded by Councillor Jeffrey, Mayor Jeffrey. Item 8.3, Procurement Activity Quarterly Report. Can I get a mover? Councillor Palashi, seconded by Councillor Jennifer Innes. All in favor? Passed. Item 8.4, can I get a mover? Report of the Audit and Risk Committee. Councillor Raz, seconded by Councillor Groves. Item 8.5, report of the Growth Management Committee meeting held on February 5, 2015. Can I get a mover? Councillor Spilveri, seconded. Councillor Downey. All in favor? Passed. Item 8.6, report of the Region of Peel Accessibility Advisory Committee. Can I get a mover? Councillor Mahoney, seconded by Councillor Parrish. All in favor? Opposed? And lastly, so I believe 9.1, 9.2, 9.4 have already been received. And item 9.3, communication. It's a referral, yeah. Moved by Councillor Tovey and seconded by Councillor Moore. Back to you. All in favor? Thank you. Pass. Back to you, Mr. Chairman.
Great, well done. So we move on to, I guess, bylaws. Aren't we? Is there anything?
Yes, that's it.
That the bylaws listed on Regional Council agenda being bylaws 16-2015 and 17-2015 be given the required number of readings, taken as read, signed by the regional chair and the regional clerk, and the corporate seal be affixed thereto. Moved by Councillor Yanika, seconded by Mayor Crombie. All in favor? Opposed, if any? Carried. Oh, we go in camera. Do we need to go in camera? Somebody want to move the in-camera reports? Moved by Councillor Raz, seconded by Councillor Medeiros. Any discussion? Well, I guess not if we're not going in camera. All in favor? Approved. Okay.
Councillor Pelletier conflict.
Oh, Councillor Palashi?
I'm just calling for a vote on 14.5 separately, as I'm declaring a conflict of
Yeah,
interest.
okay, fair, yeah.
Okay.
Good
So
point.
I'll leave now?
Yeah, duly noted. That's- You can step out for a second and we'll take it separate. All in favor of 14.5? Opposed if any, carried. And I think already, all in favor of the remaining items, all opposed if any, carried. Good. All right. You can get him back in, oh, he's in. Holy, Superman. Just- all right. Okay. I have a motion moved by Councillor Downey, seconded by Councillor Shaughnessy, that the bylaw 18-2015 to confirm the proceedings of Regional Council at its meeting held on February 26, 2015, and to authorize the execution of documents in accordance with the Region Appeal bylaws relating thereto, be given the required number of readings, taken as read, signed by the regional chair and the regional clerk, and the corporate seal be affixed thereto. All in favor? Opposed if any? Carried. Who wants to move adjournment? Councillor Yanika looks like he's anxious to move adjournment. And seconded by Councillor Sato, that the February 26, 2015 Regional Council meeting be adjourned. Thank you.
Council, the next meeting is on the 26th of March.
Just,
It's a big agenda.
right, just to advise council, our next meeting is on Thursday, March 26th, and it's a very heavy agenda, so you got off easy today.